Hi everybody, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of my podcast called I Am Gaming. This is a place where I try to examine the field of video game industry, entrepreneurship and gaming nostalgia. This episode is one of those where I'll tell two stories. Actually, I love telling stories in real life, but I don't think I'm still at that point fully with the podcast for me to feel loose enough or relaxed enough to really get into the stories. So hopefully this episode will help me do just that. And the topic of both stories will be going viral. This is something that's really interesting to me personally, and somebody who's currently creating different kinds of content and was doing the same for years. And I was always fascinated by that phenomenon, and I had the privilege or opportunity to have kind of two of those moments in my life, and I'm going to talk about both of them and the lessons I learned from both, even though they're really specific and they're not truly viral. I didn't get millions of anything, but they, in my context, in my environment, did provide something that was an extraordinary opportunity to gain the eyeballs of my audience. So those will be the two stories I tell, as well as things I learned and things I want to share with you as something you need to know if you ever get a chance. And I'll tell you why that isn't that impossible as you might think right now, to have your content, whatever it might be, a game, a video, let's play video, anything you might imagine, really go viral. Before we get into that, I have a huge shout out for a really cool channel you should check out, especially if you're into tech and hardware, and I'm guessing you're not a stranger to those topics because you're listening to this podcast. The channel in question is called Tech Powder, and it really has a great concept, something I didn't see that much on YouTube, even though I'm not a big hardware guy. The basic premise of this content creator from the UK, who recently started, so check him out on the link in the description below, is to create budget PC rigs using as little cash as possible and then test them with new games and other softwares and apps that are pretty demanding. And besides that, you can also check out many different videos he'll probably upload soon. The last video is about Samsung back cover replacement, so it's all DIY hardware, doing things with your gadgets, your PCs. That will be a festival for all those viewers who love first and foremost hardware, but then the whole DIY approach. The PC build segment for me is brilliant. I hope he'll continue with it because I think there's a lot to be shown there, especially if you consider how many rigs we are sold by the companies and big business entities like PC manufacturers as necessary for new games. Tech Powder is the ideal guy to check all of that out and see if you can get something that really works well with a lot less money. So Tech Powder link is in the description below. Please do subscribe him. I think he is well worth your time. Of course, don't forget to check out my Patreon page, and if you think I'm not a complete idiot, please consider donating $1 or $2. Right now I'm at the phase where I'm looking for those early backers, so a single dollar per month would be hell of a great, if you can spare it, of course. Now let's get to the actual topic, which is results of going viral. What does actually happen when you do go viral, and what can you gain from it apart from being really happy and thinking you're the golden god of universe? First tale I have for you is one that takes place all the way back in 2011. Now this is in Serbia, where I was back then working in a media company in a city where I live with my family even today, called Novi Sad. It's the second largest city in Serbia, and in that media company I was kind of heading as a creative individual. I had a boss, but as a creative department head, I managed a small team that created online content, basically video content. So there was a lot of things, we made weird stuff, and it didn't really hit off and got a big audience. But at the same time, I was really into writing. My basic background is writing. I started writing short sci-fi stories when I was in high school, and I continued doing that for many years until I made the switch to English, where I started doing mostly non-fiction things. You can also find the link to my books in the description below, so there's another small pitch. I'm full of self-pitching, so you need to be aware of that. That's how I roll. But back then I was all about Serbian, writing in Serbian, and because I was in the media sphere much more, I was like a year in that job, maybe a little bit less, I was really following the not just the news scene, but also the like pop culture scene at that point in Serbia. Back then, social media like Twitter or Facebook was really only kicking off. It was starting to make sense or partially make sense to business people from all different walks of life. And a whole kind of a sphere or a caste or a niche developed of people who were basically selling vague notions of a service for all those who wanted to like put their companies on social media. For example, you had a small business in Serbia back then, and you kind of knew about Facebook and Twitter or maybe YouTube, and you thought, not so much YouTube, but Twitter and Facebook in particular, you thought, okay, I need a profile. And then these people would come in, and then they would sell you a kind of a stupid story about why you need it and what would you gain from it. You basically gain nothing, just you gave them like 100 euros or something like that to set up your profiles, and you gained absolutely nothing. But that whole niche was growing, and there was ever larger amount of these people who were aggressively self-promoting themselves as not really gurus, but somebody who's like really knowledgeable about social media, even though they always failed to explain to those people who were their clients that they're basically getting nothing from it. And I wrote a kind of a sarcastic story in the first person about a social media guru management guy who's pitching his pitch for making social media presence and maybe a website to a guy who runs a single person auto repair shop, and who's kind of an older guy who has no clue about the internet or anything. So everything was written from the first person perspective, and it was loaded with pop culture references from that point in Serbia. It was really, I wrote it well, and it was funny, it was bitterly sarcastic, and anybody who was into kind of online things, online work, could recognize that kind of a stereotype of a douchebag salesman for social media. I published it on my Serbian blog, and it took off in a day like a rocket ship. People started sharing it like mad, especially those people who had a big social media following. All of those kind of pseudo gurus also find it interesting. That's the thing that actually pushed it into kind of a viral setup, for at least for Serbia, is the fact that people who were actually I made fun of also liked this liked the text, because they didn't recognize themselves in it, but they recognized other people. You know, it's like, oh, these are crooks and morons, but I'm not that crook and moron. I'm loving this. Of course, it's great. It's funny, and they started sharing it. I know back then I was looking at statistics. I was getting something like hundreds of hits per maybe 10 or 15 minutes, which was huge. It was bigger than anything I had on the blog the entire time before that, and I had it for like 2 or 3 years. I was thrilled. Even the main editor of the same media company that was only into news, who wasn't my boss in my department, came over and said, someone just sent me this text through email as something that's really funny. Was that you? Did you write it? And I said, yeah. And he was like, hey, it's awesome. How can we start writing a column or something like that? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm all in. But here comes the other part of this story, the first story. while it was awesome to get all those hits, people mentioning you on Facebook, on Twitter, sending like thumbs up and having sharing that they really enjoyed it and everything else, I didn't get anything from it. Literally anything. Even that column I should have gotten inside of my home company didn't take off. We didn't pursue it any further, and soon after the whole department collapsed. But besides that, besides of that fact, the problem was I got viral in this limited poor person in Slavic world type of environment. I got viral, but I didn't have anything I could funnel my people, all those people who were coming to my site, to my blog, into. So they just read the text, found it funny, maybe shared it, and forgot all about it. That was a huge mistake on my part. I got what I was looking for with these texts, with these sarcastic, kind of interesting pieces, but there wasn't any kind of a strategy what to do when you do get viral, when those things like really jump off. I didn't have any books to sell, I didn't have any point of interest where I could generate the audience, like having a mail list or doing some other project where I could funnel or push those people towards to. I didn't have anything, so I got what I wanted, like the proverb, like beware of the things you want, maybe you'll get them. I got what I wanted, and it materialized into nothing. And that's really important, because I'm going to come back to this point later on. The problem isn't getting something like being viral. You will get something similar to it, or maybe much bigger, or something that's even planetary popular. But without an infrastructure to directly tap some benefit for you from that going viral, you are just missing out on, it's like you're missing out on something that can transport you. For example, imagine if you wanted to go somewhere downstream on a river, and you are looking for the place where the river is really huge, where this current is strong, it can take you a long way, and you find that place, but then you realize you don't have a boat. And the river is still there. You got all that water. It's going through. It's there, but you have no way to use it, except from enjoying. Apart from enjoying it, while you stand there and say like, "Oh, this sure is a mighty big river. It's really powerful." The same happened to me in 2011. I was looking at my statistics. I saw the jump in views. It was going up, and nothing came from it, because how could it? People even who thought I was awesome or great or wanted to read more from it couldn't even subscribe to my blog in any meaningful way, because it was a standard 1.2, 2.1, 2.0 blog where you have an RSS feed and that's it. So I didn't even provide anything for them to latch onto. That was a huge mistake. Now, let's rewind the time through your minds and allow my voice to take you into the far, far future of 2019. So it's 2019, I'm writing on English all of the time, and I'm on Reddit. And I have a book that's about finding ways to overcome procrastination. I'm a psychologist. I worked with a lot of clients who had problems with procrastination. I worked in the creative industries a lot, and there is that's a hotbed of procrastination. And I kind of wrote this short book that's on Amazon currently. Link is in the description below. Another self-pitch. What can I say? I'm a cheap guy. Cheap guy. And the book was selling okayish until I found a subreddit on the topic of productivity. There I wrote a kind of a short post on ways how you can impact productivity and procrastination if you're suffering from procrastination, not by employing any kind of a practical means of resolving it, like having a list or doing anything else that's basically organization, tweak or change or hack, but instead by only focusing on your emotions, your awareness of your emotions, and then your acceptance of emotions, where I use it's basically psychology, humanistic psychology, to help people who are suffering from procrastination in this shape and form. I wrote that post and I left a link in it because that subreddit allows it. It's not as draconic as many others where you can't do anything like that because somebody immediately comes and deletes it and others say, "You're spamming, guy." In my view, in my mind, they're using that guy, that douchebag voice, you know, like, no spamming, man. Nothing of that sort exists on this subreddit, but I left a link and basically forgot all about it. In less than a day, it had over 1.1 thousand upvotes. It had almost 100 comments, and immediately that day I got something like 25 purchases of the book. Now, I know that sounds like trivial, it's not much, but that's more than I sold, I'm thinking, in like 6 months previously, that I got in a single day. Even after that day, after the topic went from being top ranked to some lower point, I still continued to get sales. And that month, I ended the month with something like 50 or 60 sales, which is far, that was like a blockbuster record for me. That subreddit has 500,000 members. And it might seem like it's a niche, it's a sub niche actually, but it was perfectly suited for the product I was selling. And conversions from that post going viral, again, it's not going viral, it's just getting popular, it's really popular for a short time, were immediate. And they were the exact thing I wanted. I wanted for people to get some awareness of my book, that they exist, and possibly to buy it. I got that. I got subsequent sales, and in that case, a lot less individuals actually saw my text than they did in 2011. But I had a super clear point of conversion, point of getting eyeballs, and then doing something with those eyeballs, funneling them towards my website, towards my page on Amazon, where the book is located. And I got sales. I could have gotten more sales or less sales, but the setup worked perfectly. It worked as intended. I didn't write the text being sure it was going to go viral, but I wrote it with the potential of it really achieving that or getting some popularity. I got precisely what I wanted. And of course people saying that I'm a stupid spammer, you spammer, asshole. But I lived through it. It really emotionally broke me into 1,000 pieces, hearing people on Reddit think I'm a spammer, but somehow I managed to pull through. So yeah, I'm okay now. No, I'm actually kidding. Nobody said I'm a spammer, because that was the whole point of the same subreddit. It was about helping people get productive. This was precisely it. I also sold my book besides that, my post, but even if you ignore the link, the post works on its own. And that's where the sales came from. Now, so we have two situations, 2 points of me going, again, maybe I shouldn't say viral, but it's better for a title of the video and more people will click on it. Come on, what can I do? But I had 2 instances of my content getting really popular in a short period of time. In first case I got nothing. In the second case I got exactly what I was looking for. Was that the best way to convert all of that attention? I don't know, but it was something. And that brings me to the whole point of both stories. You need to have an infrastructure ready if you share content with the hope and the possibility of it going viral. Because without it, it will happen. You maybe not go viral again. I'm saying this again. If I'm a lawyer on a trial or something, I want to give a disclaimer. Your stuff is going to get popular at one point or another, for a short period or a long period. You need to have a setup in place that can benefit from it when that does happen. Because just think about it. We all spend so much time online. We see so much things, from Boar Panda to other like viral websites, to YouTube, to forums, to Discord, to Reddit to social media, we help things get viral constantly. And things do get popular for a short period of time. It's like Andy Warhol said, everyone will have their 15 minutes of fame, and that is happening now. Point is, when you get your 15 minutes of fame, don't think about becoming a superstar overnight. That won't happen. Just find a way to utilize the attention you're getting into something, or to convert the attention you're getting into something you're actually looking for, or that helps you. So even if you don't have a clear idea what that might be, create some kind of setup. So let's say that you have a video game you're creating, an indie game. You share a GIF of your game or a short video on Twitter on Screenshot Saturday. It gets super popular. If you have nothing else, have a mailing list people can sign up on your website, or direct link to a MailChimp page, if that still works. Hopefully it works. Get those eyeballs into potential customers one day. If you're a content provider, if you create Let's Play videos, you make a video of, I don't know, Rainbow Six Siege, which is hilarious, people love it, they start to share it, you get a lot of views. Put something in that description that leads people somewhere. It's great if they become subscribers, most won't. But create your Patreon page, have a website where you have your links to other streaming services you use. Your Discord server, send them to your Discord server, that's also a good option. Convert them into something, because otherwise people will see it like you do all of the time. See something, say, huh, that's interesting, maybe even share it, and forget all about it. You need to have a setup that helps them not to forget all about it, or at least to leave something with you that you can use to say, hey, remember I'm the guy who made, or a girl, or any other pronoun, who made that thing you liked. Check out another thing I have you might like as well. And that's the key element here. The results of going viral will be as good or as bad as you create your infrastructure to deal with this happening. So it's not only enough to look for that wide space on the river, where it's strong and the current can take you wherever you want. It's also important to have a boat set up and ready for the moment when that happens. You can have a huge boat, you can have a steamboat casino, you can have a aircraft carrier, or you can have a dinghy or a plastic single-person kayak. It doesn't matter, it's up to you, but you need to have something, even a stupid raft that's made out of 3 planks and some like wine, as Bear Grylls would make it. Have something, and have a clear idea beforehand what that something is, because when viral things happen, when huge popularity surge occur, you'll have not that much time to react. In best case, you'll have a day, so that's 24 hours. Scratch 8 hours of sleep, you have 16 hours, 14, 15, 12, even less so. In that time, it's too late to think about, oh, maybe I should make a Patreon page and then leave the link and read a lot of things. You can't even do that. For example, if you have a Twitter post, a tweet that goes viral, you can add a response to it with your link, for example, but only a fraction of people will see it. Always think about where that energy and potential and attention can go to, and have that ready beforehand. Even if you think there's no chance in hell of you getting any kind of popularity, and I know most content creators struggle with that idea. They're like, oh, no one will ever watch my video. Maybe they won't, but chances are they will. And chances are they're not that bad, especially if you create something that you think is worthwhile of other people's time and so forth. It might catch on. Not everything, not all of the time, but sometime. When that happens, have the setup ready to harness it. Harness that power. You need to harness that power for your benefit and create a lot of opportunities for yourself. Work on the harnessing of your potentials, or else you see it go to waste. And this is my Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. Hey, and it's not that bad, at least in my ears. Anyway, that was the point of Void Stories. Have your setup ready and prepared whenever you share something, knowing that it might go popular, and use that setup to harness the potential of that popularity. Whew, this was the longest episode of I Am Gaming podcast so far. Thank you so much for watching. If you were here the entire time, my god, I'm so grateful. You're the best person in the world, literally, like the best person ever. Consider checking out my Patreon page and donating something, because I plan to continue these episodes and your support would mean the world to me. So there is a link in the description below you can check out and hopefully consider giving me $1 or $2. You feel me? Hopefully you're feeling me. You're feeling me all the way. My name is Ivica. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you didn't, and I'll be seeing you on my next episode of I'm Gaming Podcast, or possibly some of my Let's Play videos. Both are good, hopefully for you and hopefully for me. Until then, bye bye.